Andrew Yang says the coal miners didn't become coders, and neither will the displaced workers of the AI era. Andrew Yang is back in the spotlight with a warning that cuts through the usual AI hype cycle. He argues that as artificial intelligence is set to displace millions of workers, America remains terrible at retraining its workforce. His central analogy is historical. The coal miners did not become coders. It is a direct challenge to the optimistic narrative that a few months in a coding bootcamp can pivot any displaced worker into the tech economy. He suggests that the structural mismatch between the skills we have and the skills we need is far deeper than political platitudes allow. This is not just about jobs. It is about the fundamental mechanics of economic transition in the age of automation. The argument forces us to look at the history of labor shifts to understand why our current tools for reskilling might be insufficient for the scale of change ahead. Let us unpack the coal miner analogy, because it is the anchor of his entire point. When the coal industry collapsed, the narrative was that those workers could simply learn to code. Yang points out that this was largely a myth. The skills required for mining are physically and cognitively distinct from software engineering. The logistics of moving a workforce from one sector to another are massive. By drawing this parallel, he is highlighting that the current tech boom is not a magic eraser for labor market friction. The workers displaced by AI may face a similar structural wall. The skills needed to build the models are not the same as the skills needed to manage the new economy. We are assuming a fluidity in the labor market that history suggests is rare and difficult to achieve at scale. The warning is specific about the magnitude. He is not talking about a niche sector, he is talking about millions of workers. The distinction here is that AI targets cognitive tasks, not just physical ones. This changes the demographic of displacement. It is not just the factory floor, it is the white-collar desk. The sheer volume of people affected suggests that the retraining infrastructure must be equally massive. If we cannot retrain a few thousand coal miners effectively, how do we retrain millions of knowledge workers? The math of the transition becomes the bottleneck. The speed of technological adoption often outpaces the speed of human adaptation. We are building the plane while we are flying it, and the passengers are the ones who have to learn to fly it. One commenter pointed out that the tech industry wanted bootcamp developers to memorize how to create glue code. They did not want senior software engineers. This is a crucial distinction. Bootcamps are excellent for teaching syntax and basic frameworks. They are terrible for teaching deep system design or adaptability. If AI automates the glue code, then the bootcamp model collapses entirely. The value proposition of a 3-month training program disappears when the entry-level tasks it teaches are the first to be automated. We are training workers for a job market that is actively deleting the bottom rung of the ladder. The retraining failure is not just a policy issue, it is a pedagogical one. We are teaching the wrong skills for the wrong timeline. The retraining failure is not a United States only problem. A commenter noted that India's IT services sector employs over 5 million people doing exactly the kind of work agentic AI is starting to automate. This is the global scale of the issue. There is no bootcamp pipeline built for 5 million people. The infrastructure simply does not exist. If the model is that we can just retrain everyone, we need to build that infrastructure. Now, we are assuming that the solution is education, but the bottleneck is capacity. The world is facing a synchronized shock to knowledge work. The retraining arms race is already lost because the target keeps moving. The scale of the workforce is the constraint, not the quality of the curriculum. The community reaction is divided on Yang's credibility. One user called him a third-rate carnival barker. Another pointed out that he was the earliest to sound the alarm on the presidential debate stage and offered up universal basic income as a solution. He has been making this argument since 2018 or 2019. The debate is not about whether he is right now, but whether he was right then. He was certainly early to the party. The criticism is that he was loud about a problem that was already obvious. The praise is that he forced the mainstream to look at the structural risks of automation. It is a valid point that the retraining debate has been around since before AI was the dominant talking point. The technology has changed, but the labor dynamics have remained stubbornly similar. The core takeaway is the difficulty of career change in a fast-moving economy. It is already hard enough to change careers without having to guess which new skills will still be valuable 5 years from now. If the half-life of a skill is shrinking, then the traditional model of education and retraining is broken. We cannot keep up with the pace of obsolescence. The implication is that we need a structural solution, not just a training solution. Universal basic income becomes less of a political ideal and more of a logistical necessity. It provides the stability needed for workers to adapt without the immediate threat of destitution. The coal miners did not become coders because the transition was too hard. We are making the same mistake again, but this time the stakes are higher and the timeline is shorter. The question is not if the workers can adapt, but if the economy can support them while they do. The retraining narrative is failing because we are treating a structural crisis like a skills gap. If the coal miners could not pivot, what makes you think the displaced coders can? Subscribe for more sharp takes on the AI labor market.